From the East Blue Sea to the beginnings of Skypeia, today I will be reviewing the first fourth of the physically released mangas of One Piece. And seeing as how volume 104 will be released at the end of this year, volumes 1 through 26 are what I will be reviewing. This has been a monumental task, and I know a lot of people are too afraid to get into this series because it is so daunting, but I like a challenge. So I'm going to read all of One Piece and chronicle my journey in a 4-part review series. And this is going to be part 1, which is volumes 1 through 26. Now, I want to first give my thoughts on the overall experience, and that is that I'm loving One Piece. There are moments where I've watched before reading this, other people's thoughts and opinions on the series, certain characters where people said they didn't care for them, certain parts where they said it was really slow to them, parts where they thought weren't that funny, or characters they thought they did not care for too much. And so far, I have liked almost all of it. So I definitely cannot be that person who would agree with them. I kind of want to, the general consensus I feel like is One Piece is good, and the reason why it's good is because of the fact that it's been going on for so long. And yeah, there's a reason why it's going on for so long. It's because it's genuinely so good. And I really don't need to sell you on that, other than the fact that you should just know that it's a lot to read, and you should just be ready for that. But I will say that the pace, Oda Sensei is a master of pacing, because I have read now 26 volumes, and I feel like I have read about 10. Where in comparison, other series that I've read that are 28 volumes, 30 volumes, I feel like I've read 90 volumes. Because the pacing is so slow, the world building's so tedious, or boring, or minute. And with One Piece, it feels like something's happening always in One Piece. It never feels like a slow moment. I know that the fans of the anime cannot say the same, but the manga is perfectly paced in my opinion. Charlie, my boy Charlie on YouTube, he recently came out with a One Piece update review for him on watching the anime, and he said in his opinion that it felt so long in the Skypeia arc, because he said something happened in it that felt like it took 30 episodes to get resolved. And I've at the time of recording this, I'm actually into volume 34 right now. And I know the part that he's talking about. In the manga, it takes 10 chapters. And you can read a chapter in 8 minutes. So for me, his complaint, I was like, well, if you read the manga, it doesn't feel like it's forever. But if you're watching 10 to 20 minute long episodes and there's 30 of them, yeah, it feels like that's taking forever. Now, that aside, I wanted to kind of touch on some things that I've noticed that a lot of people have stated on YouTube, big reviewers, people who are giving their opinions on One Piece. One of them being Chopper doesn't do much. I don't know what those people are sniffing, because I think Chopper's done quite a lot. I think he's a very important character, and he does a lot in terms of the story and the world building and the characters in general. He has a really good moment where he's very similar to Usopp, in the sense that Usopp kind of feels like he's being babied all the time, and Chopper feels that way too. And there's like a moment where he admits this, and he's like, I feel like this is me, and I don't want to be that way anymore. And I really like that moment from Chopper. I also liked his backstory, as well as Nami's, as well as Sanji's. And this is probably the most controversial part of the entire video, possibly. And that is, I know a lot of people have either a love or hate relationship with Sanji. And I am one of those who love Sanji. I love him to death. His relationship with Luffy is really good. I really liked how his relationship with the chef of Baratier, forgot his name, Zed? I don't remember. It's been so long. But the chef there, his relationship to him is extremely similar to that of Luffy, and I really liked how they kind of compared them both silently in the background. If you've read the manga, you know what I'm talking about. I really like how they did that. Sanji as a character, though, in general, I really like. I'm a huge cook. I like to cook. I like recipes and trying out new things. So obviously I'm going to be tending myself to be moving towards the chef of the group. But I also really like his style. I like how he dresses, very similar to a Yakuza. Always has a cigarette in his mouth. And he is a ladies' man. And I know a lot of people don't like that about him. I like that about him. I find him hilarious. His attention and his spats with Zoro is just comedy gold. And him and Luffy also work very well off of each other. And in general, I'd say that the entire crew works very well off each other. Each of them have their weaknesses and strengths. Each of them have their own quirks. They really bounce off each other really well. So I personally, very much so, enjoy the Straw Hat crew. I feel like I'm a part of them, that it's a family or a group of friends that you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy a journey with. And I think that's extremely crucial to the popularity of One Piece, that you don't feel like you're reading about these characters that someone made up, but rather that these are true and alive people, and they are so intimately friends with each other, so close together, that it almost makes you feel as though you're a part of the Straw Hat Pirate gang. And I really like that. Now, one thing, lastly, that I want to talk about specifically in regards to some statements that I've heard is people saying that Luffy is just the same character he is always, except for, from what I've been told, there's a time skip that happens later on, and he does change a bit after that. But I would say that I don't agree with that statement, because there is a moment before they go into Skypeia, when they're on Jaya, where Luffy does actually change. Before this happens, if you've read the manga or watched the anime, you know that Luffy is one of those people who's very brash. He gets into these situations all the time, and he constantly is fighting and stirring up trouble. And what I loved about it was that they landed on this island of Jaya, and Nami tells him and Zoro, "We are not fighting on this island, and you better not start a fight." And Luffy says, "Okay." Now, typically Luffy would be like, "Okay," and then he goes and starts a fight. And he gets into a fight. These guys just start hitting him and Zoro, and they refuse to fight. And even when Nami says, "Screw it, fight these guys," Luffy and Zoro say, "No, we're not going to fight them. We're going to keep our word. We're not going to." And I thought, wow, okay, not like Luffy at all. Luffy would have taken the chance. He's like, "Okay, well, Nami said I could now, so I'm going to now." But he doesn't, and he says no. And I thought, that's really cool. But I really liked Zoro's line, because he says something along the lines of, "Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to fight those guys. You know, I don't want to win over someone so easy and simple," which is just amazing. Lastly, I also really like how One Piece is the one series that I know of where they have, you know, how in Shonen typically there's a harder boss and a harder villain and a harder villain and a harder villain, and the stakes just keep getting raised. I liked how right before they hit Skypeia, when they're on Jaya at the first in the first part, when they land there, how they have to fight. They fight a pirate captain who is, I believe he's 60 million berries worth, 30, I think, and they knock him out flat, easily, which is not something that's typically done, or typically, typically you don't see that happen. Typically it's always a harder villain, and I kind of like that because it shows how much Luffy has grown and how much stronger he is now than he was at the beginning of the series, and I really like that. Overall, I would say that One Piece is very good. I cannot wait to read the rest of it. I can't wait to give you my review on the next 26 volumes. I am very excited. So far, I am liking Skypeia, love the Straw Hat crew, and Ichiro Oda Sensei is truly a master of his craft. If you like this video, please do like it and subscribe to the channel. See y'all next time.